Today's lesson is actually a repeat of a part of a lesson that we had done before. So hopefully you remember what some of the word or verbal representations of your inequalities are. We'll be using those today. We have a scenario. Hurricane George is 250 miles from the coast of South Padre Island and is approaching the coast at a rate of 20 miles per hour. So we need to come up with something that will represent this. It starts, or its beginning point is 250, and as it gets closer, that means we're subtracting mileage. So it's minus 20 times the number of hours. So once you get that, you can see that at 0 hours it's 250 miles from the coast. So we'll just keep doing that for each of these. And I can go ahead and put the 250 in there. 250 minus 20 minus 20 minus 20. And then this is times 1 times 2 and times 3. So if you put this in your calculator or figure it out in your head, this is going down by 20 each time. So we can come up with that. So our expression, the easiest way to do this is to use your y equals, write down everything that stays the same. Well, the 250 stays the same. The minus 20 stays the same. The parentheses stay the same. The thing that changes is variable. That's what it means, changes, is variable, is our x. Now if we wanted to rewrite this, and instead of y, we could put m for miles, that's our total, equals 250 minus 20, and then our variable is the hours, so I can put h. Either of these would be good. Alright. So it says create a table using a calculator to find the answer to the following questions. Make sure to put the answer in the second space of the table. So it says if at least 3 hours have elapsed. So we're going to put in our 3 here. What is the distance of the hurricane from the coast? So we're going to put in 2, and this is 4. Now we can look at the table that we've got up here. We can see at 3 it's 190, or you could do this with your calculator, but we can do this. At 2 hours, that means it was 210 miles away, and at 4 that's 70 less than that, so that would be 170. Alright, so at least 3 hours. If you remember, at least means that it has to be more than, or it could be equal to. More than or equal to. So on this, I would put, well, we're not going to do an expression on this one. So it says if the hurricane is no more than 75 miles. Well, what would that be? Well, I guess it's time to get out the good old calculator. Yeah. I don't have the calculator loaded at this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. So miles would be my y equals 250 minus 20h. Alright, so if I want to do this by hand, just to show you that you don't have to have a calculator. So if it is no more than, that means that 75, I'm going to put this over here because we like to do this. No more than means that it's less than or equal to. I'm just rewriting. I just swapped the parts and put in my inequality. So this equation must be no more than, which is the same as less than or equal to 75. Now we can solve. Negative 20h is less than or equal to, now 75 minus 250 is negative 175. Then we would divide by the negative 20. Remember, if you divide by the negative 20, you must change the sign. All right. So we have the hours must be greater than, and this is going to be, it's going to be a fraction. So let's see if we can figure this out. 8 would give me 150, so about 8.8 hours, roughly. So about 8.8, which means that at 8 hours, it would be more than 75. At 9 hours, it would be less than 75. So if we figured that out, 250 minus 20 times 9 is 80, or 180, so that would be 70. And at 8 hours, it would be 90. So 75 does fit in there. All right. So let's go back up to this. When will the hurricane be no more than 100 miles? So we're going to write it with our y over on the right. No more than means less than or equal to 100. So we can figure this out. 250 minus 20 times h is no more than. So we're going to do the same thing. So here's our inequality. So now we can figure this out. And just so we can save a little bit of time, we can see, let's go back here, that at 8 hours it was 90 8 hours it was 90, so it means at 7 hours it would be 110. So we could see that somewhere between 7 and 8, so if we just wanted to go roughly by hours, we could say, now remember, if we solved all this, we would have to have our hours must be greater than or equal to, and then it's going to be this fraction. Well, let's say it's halfway in between those, so I'm just going to go ahead and say 7.5. All right. So, what is the distance from the coast if no more than 10 hours have elapsed? So our hours, we're going to put it over on the right. So we're going to do m, and no more than, again, is less than or equal to minus 20 times the h. And the reason we're writing it this way, the last two, we had no more than, and then on the other side was a distance. This time we have our hours, so we're going to write it this way. I want you to see that we can swap these as needed to fit our situation. So this was 10 hours. So if I do 10 hours, let's see where we were at. Woohoo! So 7, 8, 9, 10. So at 10 hours, we would be at 50. At 9 hours, we're at 70. And 11 hours, we would be at 30. So we would say that because we're not going to go past 10, we're going to stop right here. We would say that the miles, and in this case, let's see, our miles must be greater than or equal to 50. Now, how did we end up with this greater than here and it's less than here? Well, let's think about that. If we started to solve this, we would end up with a negative 20. And when you divide by a negative number, what do you have to do to the sign? You need to change it. It needs to become the opposite. So that's how our miles must be greater than or equal to 50. All right. How many hours will it take for the hurricane to be less than 15 miles from the coast? Okay, so we're going to do less than, and then our miles part is going to be over here. So less than 15 miles. So we can do our 250 minus 20 times the number of hours. And if we look up here, we know that 11 is 30. So that means 12 would be 10. So how many hours? Well, when we solve this, the hours, now remember, when we go to solve this, we're going to have to divide by that negative 20, so this sign would change. Must be greater than, and I'm just going to put 11 in here, although it is closer to this, like 11.75, roughly that. If you wanted to just put hours are greater than 11, if we're only counting in full hours, that would be appropriate. So you can do that. And this is just a guess, but I want to show you how you can look at your table when you fill this out. You don't have to have a calculator. You can just plug your values into your equation, and then you're good. Now, we are not going to do, if you have the second page, this is all a repeat from what you did before. You can dig out your old notes, look at this. Just as an example, number 8, I would solve this. Minus 7, negative x is greater than negative 1. Divide everything by negative 1 to make it a positive number. Remember, when you divide by a negative, you change the sign. X is less than 1. I'm going to put the 1 right in the middle of the graph right there. I'm going to fill out the remainder of it like this. And then I look at this. Remember that one of these gets an open dot because it is not included. It is just like a dotted line on a graph. And it's less than, so I'm doing this. You are responsible for doing the rest of these on your own, or you could just go back and copy your old notes.